It's going.
Sweet.
And we're live. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to this roundtable live stream. Yes, this talk about the Kraken. Well, we have been previously talking about the Kraken in relation to like the collective unconscious in some previous talks that we did for the Moment podcast, and Max had brought up something interesting that sparked more things, and like Neirum originally had like brought up stuff about the Kraken that he was seeing in like more modern representations of kind of like you could call it the myth. And so Max had like pointed out regarding like Proteus, and then I started also to dig more into Cetus and how that like relates to the myth of Perseus. So you know that in for the people who don't know about the myth, it's basically that Perseus kills Cetus either with a sword or with the head of from Medusa, and saves Andromeda, representing the anima, I suppose you could say. And then there's like still the link to Proteus that's kind of like a trickster figure, and I think that's where I'm gonna leave it from now on, and let's dive right in. So maybe Neirum, maybe you can take it away with what you have been seeing regarding the Kraken in like I guess the modern stuff, and maybe we can bring up some of the ancient examples and kind of like what seems to be going on with the Kraken.
Yeah, man. So like movies, The Thing, you have a lot of these anime movies where they're fighting these giant like Kraken tentacle monster things. Then you had Clash of the Titans, where they literally had the Kraken in the scene, release the Kraken, and here's this giant multi-tentacled sea monster coming out, just wreaking havoc. But yeah, it's just this re-emerging thing. And as we talked about in the last episode, there's these old political signs of this octopus just grabbing everything and everyone. And you look even further back, and there's these war posters representing the bad guys as this tentacle monster type thing. And me and Raine Fox, is that your name? Yeah. Raine Fox. We're talking about Mass Effect. The Reapers, you know, they're kind of these cuttlefish looking things, but they have, you know, these multi-tentacled forms, and you know, they can control your mind or make you into this husk, and this kind of
synthetic organic hybrids.
Yeah, these techno Reaper Cthulhu monster things. So it's a blending of all of the other. It's a retelling of all the other types of myths into, you know, this video game, this modern video game that came out like 10 years ago or so. So yeah, that's that's kind of the direction I'm working towards, of like what is significant about this thing? Why does it keep popping up? Is it a really horrible thing that you have to like defeat forever? You know, is that the goal, or is the goal that this is a thing that pops up to kind of get us to move and do things differently, like a test? That's where my mind's at with the whole thing. What's the nature of evil? You know, what's the nature of these creatures that we fight? Of the snake. I saw in the chat you guys were talking about Medusa. She has all these snakes on top of her head, again, it's these multi-vectored attacks coming at you from all these different snakes or all these different tentacles or whatever. Why is that there? Why is that such a intense fear that we have?
Yeah, seems to take the form of the lower function. So it could be the Kraken or the dragon or like the fish or even sometimes the frog seems to be part of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, when I look deeper into it, regarding like also the figure of like Proteus, because what Max had like brought up, there's also like this like trickster figure that he kind of represents, and kind of like this, you know, he's kind of like the old man of the sea and the herdsman of the sea beasts and Poseidon's servant, and like there's like how Jung also pointed out that he is connected. You know, he had written to quote him here: "Our Catholic Mercury, by virtue of his universal fiery spark of the light of nature, is beyond doubt Proteus, the sea god of the ancient pagan sages, who had the key to the sea and power over all things." And he pointed out like that in that sense that there's a link between this Proteus and like this like kind of like Kraken like tentacle man that he is with Mercury in some sense, and that he like Mercury like that was like connected to snakes originally too, not before he got like the wings. It's like a similar figure, and it seems to be like a lot going on with regarding to these different myths, and same with like this Cetus like figure with Perseus too, and yeah, there seems to be like something definitely going on with regards to that, like this shape-shifting trickster kind of figure, and like Pepe the Frog kind of is such a figure too, kind of like this shape-shifting kind of trickster figure.
And Proteus does have the mammal hooves, correct? Or at least in the depictions I saw.
Yeah, I have seen depictions also with the hoofs. Yes, it depends on like the depictions. Yeah, how he is depicted. Sometimes with the hooves, sometimes with I've seen some with the tentacles that he has,
so
or
at
a
least
fish.
Sometimes he's depicted as having the sort of like the more mammalian functions on top of the serpent.
Yeah,
and then he's also human on top. So there's the three layers that would relate to the different areas of the brain, I guess, in the Jungian theory.
Yeah, in the Jungian theory, yes.
So he's a bunch of different animals at the same time, but basically in the shape of a man.
Yeah, he's kind of like this, like I guess like chimera kind of like figure in a way, like
Right.
different yes.
Okay.
It has these different like yeah, qualities, and it is indeed like linked to the brain, because Carl Jung also like had written and pointed out like how the spider, the octopus, the snake, and like other such figures, like how it links to like the sympathetic nervous system, but also to the body and the instincts. He pointed out, and
Yeah.
To have an idea with the sympathetic nervous system, think like fight or flight. Basically, it's kind of like how some like call it the reptilian brain. And it's like, yeah.
It reminds me of the xenomorph, you know, like a blend between the spider, the octopus, and the snake. Like this new scary thing, you know, like this homunculus like creature with this big mouth and no eyes, indicating it's just there to eat you, man. Like you better like set it on fire or something if you can. So what did this Proteus dude do? Was he
Yeah.
the guy that first
as opposed to like the Kraken, which is only linked to the lower sympathetic functions.
Yeah.
So you see the Proteus at least has the human on top, in some forms the mammal.
Yeah.
So you think of chaos, but then you think of like it having good and bad aspects. So the bad aspects would be more like the Kraken, whereas the good aspects of chaos you could think of as things like versatility and adaptability. People use the adjective mercurial usually for these kinds of things, which again has the direct link to Mercury and Hermes. So there is like a good aspect to the chaos, is kind of what I was getting out of Proteus.
Good evening to all. Also, Proteus is very much akin to many of the ancient rulers of old cities, like you see Kekrops and you see Erichthonius in Athens, that they were from their waist down snake, and from the waist up they were humanoid. And also the giants, like in the old myth, they are depicted as such. And the cataclysms of Ogigis happened to wipe out the giants out of existence. It was caused by the gods, and in another account also, it refers to the destruction of the silver race, like it is the second race after the golden race in Hesiod's Work and Days, the 5 races of humanity that comes from the glorious golden age of the age of Titans that were in tune with nature. They didn't multiply, but they lived forever. They didn't have gender. They were like in a Buddha state. And in the Silver Age, they had vices. They get old abruptly, and they live more, but they have envy for the gods and the golden race, and they have a variety of abilities. Like an instance of them, they appear again in, I think it was in Symposium of Plato, that you have people who are both male and female.
And I think it's very like interesting, like regarding like the giants, and also what you pointed out regarding like the snake half, and yeah, and I do think like there's like without like a link, like how I said like Rainfox with like the lower half, and I guess there's like you know, and I guess in that sense also like the instincts, and you know there is like a destructive side to it to some degree, but at the same time there's like a good side to it as well, and it's kind of like same with like the figure of like of Mercury, and like a lot of these like kind of trickster figures. It kind of combines like both of these sides.
It's resilient. It can take a beating and keep going.
Actually, it is not in tune completely, the upper part with the lower part. For example, the giants are in a way they legitimate children of Earth and Uranus, like they were a couple, but they were created by Gaia in one story alone, like in Parthenogenesis, and another story by the cat member of Uranus after he was castrated by by Kronos, and his member fell into the sea and reached the earth, and it was, in a sense, an unconscious after a violent event, fertilization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've like I've been like just very recently been reading into like the that regarding like Uranus and kind of like what that is all connected to, but like maybe that's like a rabbit hole for another time. But maybe like yeah, I guess like connected back to like the Kraken, but also like Hermes. Yeah, Rainfox. I had seen that you had also posted regarding like with that there are variations of the Perseus myth that have Hermes.
Oh yeah, he gets powers. Perseus gets powers from Hermes. He is either lended the winged sandals so he can fly around, but then sometimes I had read that he was given just a white horse with wings from Hermes, but they didn't name it Pegasus. But then in the generally accepted one, and he also gets a curved sword from Hermes. And but in the more standard story, Pegasus springs out from the blood of Medusa once she is defeated, either from the blood on the ground or springs out of her neck. So Perseus is getting powers from Hermes. One way or another, no matter how the story is told, it seems. So he gets the Pegasus and the Medusa's head for all his future battles, which the next one is freeing Andromeda from Cetus.
Yeah, and it seems like there's like a theme going on there too, like how you also had pointed out and what you had compiled before this talk regarding like that there seems to be something like going on regarding like the Kraken and the dragon and I guess like the female figures connected to like the anima too.
It is often, not always, but often that this reptilian figure is, imprisoning the anima, or the anima is being sacrificed to it, and the hero with his bag of tricks is, trying to save her. Also in I guess we talked a little bit about Hercules, but it seemed like I was a little bit off the mark there. But Hercules had to fight the Hydra, which again is a multi-headed dragon, and it comes up from a lake, and the lake is supposed to be tied to a portal to the underworld or the unconscious.
Yeah, and I think in that sense also like it kind of like again like talks about like the similar theme with regarding to these things, but then
and once Hercules does kill the Kraken, the Hydra, he dips his arrows in the Hydra's blood, and then he has poison arrows to use to finish the 10 or 12 feats to finish his myth.
Yeah, and it seems like there's like these empowerments kind of like that happen from, I guess, overcoming this this, I guess you could call it
this trial.
This trial, yes, this inner beast.
So he's getting powers, but he's also being lended things from Hermes, usually.
Yeah. So
usually what he's being lended, I guess he gets the curved sword from Hermes, but they're often lended some kind of winged figure, a vehicle or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that that regarding all of this, that I think there's like regarding this myth also, like, because with Cetus, for instance, also you have that, because in the older Etruscan mythology, there's like Cetus as more like a fish, but also sometimes Kraken figure was also connected to like a psychopomp figure, like it guided the souls of the dead to the underworld. So there's like this underworld connection there too, happening with Cetus. And then also like a connection to like later on to like both like kind of Poseidon and Hades. And from in the Etruscan myth, from what I've read, it seems to be like also a shape-shifting figure as well, having this like ability. And it seems to be like that this kind of Kraken figure is like or like this, but also the snake and the spider seems to be like connected to the lower half, where and also like in later myth, like Hermes then getting wings is like this figure that can go like up and down the realms.
Yeah, Hermes was also a psychopomp.
Yeah, and there seems to be with regards to that, like really something going on there regarding like then this like kind of trickster figure, but also like this like regarding like instinct, and like now bringing it kind of back to like also like modern culture with regards to that. It's kind of like how you also, Neirum, pointed out regarding like the xenomorph, but also like I guess these other depictions. It doesn't kind of like also then, well, then the question like why why is it now like rearing its head again? Like what's I guess then going on with that, and like regarding then
the AI, right? Like in Mass Effect with the Reaper Cthulhu Leviathan things, they're blended with technology, but it still takes on the form of those Leviathan creatures that created it. And similarly with Terminator, a movie a lot of people consider scary, it's robots, but it's in the form of a human skeleton, just kind of like looking at you with a laser gun, melting your family. It's just something terrifying about that. And Skynet, again, it's like this lady in a web, this net. It's just like this repeating sort of thing, but now it's with technology. It's being retold and respun in this this way. The internet is this realm now where good things and bad things can happen. And there's these spiders out there. And apparently octopus creatures or whatever, metaphorically, of course.
The internet is also like, and technology is like kind of bringing the globe together. And the Kraken depictions, it's always like encompassing the whole globe. Or like in Mass Effect, the Reapers, well, they have many globes because they have galactic space travel, but the Reapers come from dark space, outside the galaxy, and they're coming to destroy all life in the galaxy. So it's something bigger, and it is, attacking a very large portion of humanity.
Yeah.
But I think it's I just wanted to point out about like what you said, Raine Fox, about like the deep space kind of thing, and that's kind of makes me also kind of think about like the unknown and with it kind of the unconscious. But go ahead, Neirum.
Right. Anyway, Terminator. Right. AI, robots blending with everything. I lost my train of thought for a second. But Yeah, so now we're blending it with this technological angle. A lot of the newer movies that I'm seeing on Netflix and Hulu, it has to do with cyborgs or robots or whatever, you know. It was zombies for a while, you know, maybe 10, 15 years ago. Everybody was zombie crazy, you know, The Walking Dead and all of this end of the world apocalypse thing. But now it's robots again. It was robots in the 80s, but now it's like this blend of Lovecraftian horror with artificial intelligence type of something or another. And I guess it's just a reflection of our fears with all this, you know. Neuralink is a thing now, and there's Teslas everywhere, electric cars, this kind of future that we thought was going to come a lot sooner. Didn't happen. We got preoccupied with zombies and all this, and now the technology is happening again in a way that we can see. We're like, because I live in the middle of nowhere, and I see people with Teslas out here. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. How about that?
I don't know, and maybe in some way, like it's kind of also like, I guess, like a projection of some sort, but also I guess it's like kind of mixing in some sense too. I mean, if you think about like the spider, the octopus, the snake, and all of these other like kind of figures, like if and it being linked to like fight or flight, in that sense, it's like an essence of fear for sure is with it there, but I do think like what we can like learn from, I guess, the older like myths from like way earlier in kind of in our history, that there's also this I guess this way to like overcome, or like maybe not even overcome, maybe the proper word for that kind of is integrate, kind of like what it really represents. And it's kind of like the I guess one's instincts and kind of the inner, I guess, animal side that is often kind of like either seen as bad or like shunned, or like not, maybe like just not integrated and at times with I guess certain individuals. And I think like it speaks, but I also think these symbols kind of speak in a way, because it kind of resembles this like I guess primordial, very primordial stuff. So
yeah, we've certainly gotten a long far away from, you know, our connection to nature and our connection to the animals. So it would make sense that we've lost sight of sort of the animal aspect to some of the things that go on in humanity.
For sure.
Especially in the dark corners of the globe that we care not to pay attention to, you know, that we see as not as civilized, that are fraught with war and tragedy and such.
Yeah, what's the line of law there, you know, like how far in nature should we live? You know, should we like go full on, just not wear clothes? Like how, you know, how far, where do we go? What do we do? Are we not supposed to go to the moon? Type of questions I've got, you know, or is that just pushing our limits too much?
Do we have a connection to Earth that like we need, that's not going to do so well if we leave? Yeah, I've thought about that before.
Yeah, it would suck, but yeah, it would suck going to the moon wearing a spacesuit. You know, when you wear those spacesuits and you move your hands around, all of your fingernails fall off. So that sucks. Like, I would not want to do that. I would like having my fingernails
attached.
Yes.
Attached.
Yeah, I would like that too. Yes. I mean, I don't know. I think in a way like it is very much about, I guess, like integrating like maybe like technology in some sense, but also at the same time like the instinctive and I guess like finding that connection back to nature. I don't think like it's a either or it has to be. I think there's like
Yeah.
a way to like combine these things, but I think we have to like, I guess in that sense, maybe like integrate first like this like instinctive and side of ourselves and this connection to nature before we, I guess also try to like do kind of the other stuff so that we can like balance things out right, so that we have like this balance going on with regard to that.
Like the idea, if you can try and go out into space, but it's not going to fix the problems you already have. In fact, you'll probably just take those problems with you into space.
Sure.
Like balance things before you get any bigger. Otherwise, you run the risk of, getting too big for your britches.
Well, I don't know, man, because what if you go out there and then something happens and you figure something else out that helps?
It is a risk. It's not like there's a hard rule, just like the balance with nature. We got to figure out the rules.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you don't have your shit together somewhere in your house, but if you stay in your house all day and you don't go leave your house and try to like see what you can do, then you don't have any money or anything, and you're that's bad. And maybe the earth is like our house, and we just gotta like go out there and check it out, and there's something cool out there, like I don't know, a cool asteroid that has something that would make everything float in reverse gravity or whatever. I don't know. I have no clue, but
calculated risk.
Yeah, well, who knows?
Yeah,
I have
Anastasios.
an idea.
Uh-huh.
I have an idea that the primordial man and woman, like they look like octopus, having this primordial looking north sides, having many hands, form in Plato's Symposium, I think it was, that talks about kindred spirits, that says there were the moon people, the people that are from sun, meaning moon and earth in a sense, like the yin beings, the young beings, like the original chaos in Taoism, like Lian Yi.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And then you have the whole beings that were divided by the trick of Athena in Zeus' command. And you have again like a machination of the gods, and in a way that looks like a positive octopus, but human and more yet unrealized in action. Like you have this being had double hands and legs. It had 4 legs and 4 arms. It had 2 heads with a double pair of eyes, noses, and so on. It had a single center. It was centered. This multiplicity of the primordial. Also, it reminds me a bit of if anyone has played Elden Ring, like the Crucible.
No, I haven't played it yet, man.
I have looked into it, and a lot of this kind of like makes me also think about like because I had seen like a video by Max that he had like recently uploaded regarding like symbolism within like, well, I guess Dark Souls, but also I guess connected to like Elden Ring kind of too, about like how there's like these alchemy symbols in there, and there's like this connection to like the dragons and the but also like this, I guess, like this particular couple that you're talking about with like the serpentine feet, or like the serpent connected to that, like how that's I think it was like the prima materia, how Max pointed it out, if I'm remembering this correctly. So it's like the first matter of, like, I guess the cosmos, the universe kind of idea. And yeah, but this link regarding like to the dragons and the serpentine links to then again like to this too. So in a way, like, yeah, they are like also kind of a symbol of this I guess octopus being in some sense too.
Yes, the Kraken is like the re-emergence of this prima material as a reminder, going wild.
Yeah, I think so. I really do think so.
Something that I noticed in some of the notes was that the Kraken rose from the waters of like stagnant waters. So it's like when things become too rigid, I guess, then it arises to bring change so that we act.
Really like thank you, Lynn, for bringing that up. And I think there's like an
Yeah.
like a link regarding like Hermes and Mercury to that too, like the ones like the, I guess, the persona also, but like the, I guess the structure becomes too rigid, that there needs to be this like shake up because it's like ever evolving too, like this connection to like the unconscious, and it's not like that rigid.
Right. It makes you stronger, through the struggle. It's like God wouldn't put you into an arena if he didn't know that you couldn't win. It's like a test that you can win. It's a passable test. It's this thing that you've got to overcome. And it seems like it's this horrible, awful, scary thing. Like we were talking about the evolution of this image of the Kraken. And I was just, throwing ideas out there, just spitballing. Like I think it started off as a snake, and then it kind of evolved as this octopus tentacled monster thing, and then you had Lovecraft make Cthulhu with all this telepathic ability, and it had these upgrades and these new concepts, because around the 20s, everybody was trying to do telepathy and hypnotism on each other. I have some of those old books, Operations of the Other Mind, like the Ralston collection, Ralston Press collection of all these mysticism, hypnosis, telepathic sort of stuff they're trying to teach people back then. And Lovecraft just put that all into there, and all this Aleister Crowley sort of cult ritualistic stuff. And the evolution of it now is just interesting. I think it's all this. It's just like the shadow. It's like a projection of what we're really afraid of. We're not really sure how to defeat this thing. The Cthulhu monster, we weren't sure how to defeat it, but now we feel like we're kind of sure how to defeat it, because they didn't have nuclear weapons then when Lovecraft wrote that. Now we have nukes, so we just like nuke him, right? We just blow that guy up. And now you have these other monsters, like in Stranger Things. It's this telepathic mist of darkness in the shape of a giant spider coming at you with an alien head, this elongated type of head. And what do? You can't nuke it. You can't shoot at it. What do? You gotta go at it a whole new, different way and level up your ability. And that opponent does that.
The heroes got to start getting clever with things.
Yeah.
Like Hercules enlisted the help of someone else to help kill the Hydra.
Yeah.
And then, Perseus gets his knickknacks from Hermes. In Mass Effect, they have the council. It's all the races working together, and then they use the catalyst, an ancient weapon.
Yeah.
And then so if you're connecting that to like the internet connecting the globe together, it is kind of like using everything we have at our disposal, all the nations and all the peoples.
We're figuring it out, man. I think that's true. Because there's hundreds of people, man, thousands of people, or little groups like this, just talking, doing their podcasts and piecing things together, and it's pretty wild.
It is, but I think this is the way that we can overcome these things, I think. But I don't know. I think there's something interesting there too, like regarding like the telepathy part there too, with like the spider, but also with Cthulhu too. And I think there's probably like more to it than meets the eye with regarding that, really, because if you think it about in a psychological manner, it's like it seems like it has like a similar power, like how like I had said it before in like the collective unconscious stuff, but I'll say it now again, like but Dionysus, for instance, having this power to make like the mortals go mad, but it's like he's like this figure of the unconscious, and similarly to like the trickster figure to and in a way, like the shadow in of itself has this ability to like either inflate one's ego or like to like really like I guess fuck one up or possess one in some sense, like not actually, but in the sense of like but like it influences one in a way that could be like represented by this like telepathy kind of thing, like how it's been depicted. But maybe in that sense it's because it's not integrated.
If I think about this Kraken as a psychological phenomenon, like more like as in symbolic and in dreams and stuff, then it's usually said to be a trickster, right? So it rises, it seems like, from because there is too much stagnancy. So it means that we are not consciously connecting to our chaotic side, which we all have. And I feel like it's trying to tell us to transform this unconscious, chaotic instinct into something more creative form that we would be like, that when we would be connecting with it, then we could actually free that potential that it has to also be a very helpful force for us, to help us not to become too stagnant.
Yeah, it's like in a lot of these horror movies and books, there are these thralls, these cultists that give themselves over to the evil tentacle monster or something, or the spider queen or whatever, that do their bidding, and tries to convince other people to just give in to something, to give up their free will. And I think it's interesting and prophetic also what these stories were telling. It was talking about this tentacled telepathic monster, or in all these political posters, this overreaching global thing that's going to grab onto everybody somehow. And now you have this Neuralink thing that is really going to do that. It's kind of crazy, man. You're going to have a computer in your brain hooked up to the internet, and God knows what else. I don't know, man.
No, thank you.
But it's this network, this multi-vectored thing that's hard and complicated to really understand, that people are embracing as the future, as a safety net. You know, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy to me, but I guess we'll see how it all turns out.
Yeah, there's something in the thralls, you know, that is kind of like the NPC, the mob mentality.
Ooh, that's
people losing their individuality, their desire to be individuals, and the desire to, you know, develop a personality.
That's a great
independent thoughts.
I didn't even realize that.
But that kind of reminds me also of like this regarding like not just the NPC meme, but also like I guess the zombie thing again too. In a way, it's like something similar to that. But I think in because I so this channel Jung, that's called Jung to Live By pointed out like regarding like the zombie, then like how that's like connected kind of like to instinct or like the lack of instinct, kind of that it's like kind of depicting like this is what you are because you're lacking like I guess the life force that you need, and it's kind of like tied up in some sense then regarding to like I guess the Kraken, because it's not integrated well. So like what you said, Lynn, like then you can't use it for something good because it's like its own thing. It just, and you're not like dancing with it in that way. So you're not like working with it in that, and then it becomes this like Kraken monster kind of thing. But then at the same time, there's like this link regarding like the winged horse also that was like brought up regarding like Perseus. It's like the symbol of that is kind of like symbolizes the integration kind of already of like the animal side of oneself already. It's like this like some essence of that already, like that is in that, and I think like the overcoming kind of is like you overcome it by integrating this this part of oneself, and then you can actually move forward, and then it's not this scary monster anymore in that sense. Then I guess the Kraken, the snake, becomes the winged horse, or like how like with Hermes, it's like I guess this dual symbol going on between like the snakes, but also like the wings that he has.
Just thinking how, you know, memes and meme lore, it brings kind of life and individuality to the sterile technological communication network. So it doesn't feel like you're just talking to another robot. It feels like, you know, you're talking to a person. And then you have in the meme lore, you know, who is the enemy of the normies, the NPC.
The frog.
The frog, which can be connected to
a sonic change.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think regarding that, also like if you think about Pepe then in kind of this this sense, it's kind of like a symbol of the same thing, like regarding like this Kraken thing, but it's I guess like generally less I guess scary in some sense, because it's not like this scary Kraken figure or like these like different
some people are scared of Pepe.
Okay, well, I didn't know that.
Most people aren't.
Yeah, but
it's labeled a hate symbol by the Anti-Defamation League in the United States. And you think, you know, if you're comparing it to the Kraken, you could imagine a giant frog. That's okay. That's a little bit lame. That's not that chaotic. But what is more chaotic is, say, like a plague of frogs, sort of jumping around everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in that sense, like it symbolizes the same thing. Then again, regarding that, like
That's
it's
heavy.
yeah, Neirum.
Yeah, that's heavy, man. Yeah, like a plague of frogs. Yeah, dude. I guess that's what's happened. I don't know what stage we're in right now. It just feels weird now. Everything feels really weird in society. I've totally checked out of it. It's it just it's like an emotional roller coaster ride on purpose. It's designed that way. And if you really get into it, even myself, if I just casually view it and look at it, I'll start to get agitated. So I'm done.
I just got out of it myself.
Yeah, I'm out. I've been out of it totally, out of politics, out of the whole thing. I like talking about this stuff. But anyway, the whole thing out there, though, feels very strange, you know, in a way that it didn't when we had memes to talk about and laugh about. I don't know. It feels stagnant. Long story short is what I'm trying to say. Everything feels really stagnant and strange.
Yeah,
The movie strange. The TV shows feel strange. And as I was saying before the show started, I've noticed something in my town. Everybody has been doing more stuff together. We had this really cool Christmas parade. It was the best one we've ever had. I go to it every year, and it's the best one that we've ever had. And everybody had a great time. And all these businesses stayed open really late, and they had a horse-drawn carriage that you could ride for free. That was cool. Like, what? I've never seen that before. And they just put the Christmas tree up, and everybody sang songs and had a great time. And there was all this hot chocolate everywhere, and people had candy canes. And I had never seen that many people and that much stuff going on until this year. So I've noticed like a shift. So it's a good thing, I think. But
maybe people realized how much they missed community after the 2 years of quarantining and stuff.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and the internet, I guess, is just not as cool as we thought. It's still super cool.
Yeah.
I still use it. We're using it right now, but I feel like humanity got way into the internet and addicted to it, even like big time. Like anything new, like even a drug. This is kind of like a weird cyber drug that scratches all these itches that we have. And well, I think we might be starting to get over that a little bit, or people are conscious of it, of trying to get off their phone and simplifying their life without so much digital business in their face all the time. Limiting their screen time. That's what they call it.
Yeah, I guess it's about finding the good ways to use technology, like that is actually helpful and interesting and helps us connect with each other.
Yeah. It's like a learning process. I don't know. I'm trying to equate it to something. I don't know.
But
I can't think of any.
Yeah. There's one thing that I just wanted to point out regarding like Neirum, what you had pointed out regarding like if everything feels so stagnant. Maybe that's the stagnant water that like what you were talking about, Lynn, regarding like what you had read. And I think that in that sense, like that's probably why then also why, like, I guess Pepe, but also all of the other things are starting to pop up in some sense. And I think like it needs to like be freed up. But in a sense, like if you freed it up, if you do this, like I guess overcoming of the Kraken, or like however you would want to see it, you kind of are going on the hero's journey, and you're kind of like freeing up, I guess, like this life force energy that's there within oneself, and then kind of like, well, you're no longer a zombie then, because it's like because you're like, you have freed that up, and then things can change too, because then things start to like shake up too, and I think like that's kind of what we need. It's like it's better than like thinking here of like another trickster figure, like the Joker, that the trickster becomes so like cynical that it becomes like this other like dark figure. And I think like we need to like instead of that, like embrace like the I guess this inner like archetype of like what the hero, or like maybe like in a more like mature way, the warrior, or like how some would put it. But anyways, just this like this archetype that frees this life force energy, not for men and women and kind of everyone in some sense, in their own way, if they're kind of like dealing with this in their own life. Yeah.
Yeah, Neirum, you were searching for something to relate the progress of technology to. And I'd always heard when cars were first invented, like it was just chaos. People were dying and driving too fast and racing all over the place, and I'm sure as hell they were all drunk the entire time they did it. And then, you know, the backlash from that, I'm sure some people were like, we need to get rid of these. They should have never been invented. Life was better without them. But, you know, as time went on, we integrate those things, and now we have cars. You know?
Yeah, and we do a pretty good job. We're in the process now of another crossroads of should it be all automated, or should we still be driving? So we're gonna have fun figuring that rabbit hole out of morality. Who's
so we cut off that head and it turned into two heads.
Right. How does he defeat the Hydra eventually?
That was Hercules, and he called somebody in. Now there are different versions, but they figured out if they used like a branding sword, that it would, you know, cotter the head and stop them from coming back. And then there's something like where you got to get them down to one head, or cut them all off at the same time, or there was one head that you needed to figure out which one to cut off, or something like that.
Okay. Cool. There's always a
head
way.
Of the vampire. Yeah.
Yeah, the head of the vampire. The queen of the aliens.
But it was something like that. I'm probably mixing up stories and stuff, but it was something like that. I didn't want to go down the Hercules rabbit holes, trying to stay focused on Perseus.
Yeah, that makes sense regarding all of that. But yeah, I don't know, but I think like also regarding like all of this stuff, kind of like what I could also like I guess like bring up regarding this, the freeing of it. I think a lot of it also has to do with like with this like for me at least, for like this winged horse symbol, and like this like I guess this wind horse like connection to it, to like I guess cultivate that like life force energy in one's life, in like in whatever way really. And I think like that, but like the all kinds of different techniques are kind of about like trying to like get in touch with like this this life force energy, this like instinctive side of ourselves, to like I guess align it through, I guess, like this dance of alignment that we're kind of doing.
And while you're at it, grab Andromeda, so your feminine aspects with you, and ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like regarding that, like I think that's yeah, kind of like sums these things up. But I then just like wonder regarding like Pepe the Frog also, like what is kind of like, I haven't really been following like the latest like versions even of that, like what's kind of like happening in like in these spheres for like for quite a while regarding like Pepe then too, on like these different memes. I just know about like the NPC meme still, and like that like Pepe the Frog is kind of like, I don't know, kind of like this I guess nemesis of the NPC in some way, which kind of makes sense thinking about this. But I don't know, have there really been like any developments, or is it just kind of like how you Neirum pointed out, like maybe like they're also stale, or like what's kind of going on with that?
We need Egg here to answer that for us. He's the Pepe lore master.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we need to get that guy in here, because I don't know a whole lot about it. I didn't spend a lot of time with the, but yeah, I was gonna say culturally stagnant. There's a lot of very interesting things going on, but culturally we're kind of we're confused right now. We're going through a hard time. We're gonna get through it though. We always do. And we'll figure it out. We just have to have some interesting things happen, I think. And I feel like some interesting things are happening.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, with a songwriter, they got some really good songs for a few albums, but then they run out of stories, and they got to go live their life and do stuff and live another chapter of their life, and they come back, and then it's great. There's the magic. I think that's what we're doing right now. Like, our songs just kind of suck right now. We're not really inspired. We need to take a little time.
Everything's a remake or a rehash.
Yeah. We're getting all nostalgic, and we got to do something new. We got to go live a little and have some stories to tell again.
Maybe that's why people are telling stories about the Kraken. Maybe that's, us tapping into the creative unconscious.
Right.
Yeah.
And figuring it out and integrating it.
Yeah.
And I do think so, and I think like like Julian pointed out regarding like the creative side of that too. It's this potential lies within that too, once it gets transformed.
Yeah, it's really just destructive when we are being too rigid, because we need a bit of chaos in our lives. We can't go with just total order, because then things become stagnant. So
right.
That's the point of it, like rearing its head. Is like, hey, you are being too rigid. Then you gotta cultivate your energy better and connect with your instincts, and then you're kind of already slaying the Kraken, and then it can go back down, and it's not like mad anymore.
In a way, yes, and like kind of on like on a bigger level, I would say, like on a grander scope regarding like this massive Kraken. It's kind of like just I don't know. I could kind of put it in the sense of like tiny krakens making up one massive kraken kind of thing, and we can like deal with our own kraken kind of in that way, so that then the big kraken starts to shrink. It's kind of like this thing about like Jordan Peterson and in this cutting, or this idea about cutting up the dragon, so then it's not so like a terrible monster to overcome kind of idea. What he had there.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem as overpowering and as scary. I think he also says in that talk, yeah, take care of it, deal with it before it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And sometimes you got to go to he's talking about the dragon. Sometimes you got to go to the den and wake it up and kill it before it even comes out.
Yeah. But one thing, I don't know if wait, let's see how the stream is going. Already an hour, but we can continue if you guys are up for it, because
yeah, totally.
Yeah. So not the Kraken, but in another form, the spider has reared its head throughout the Middle Ages in Europe a lot, symbolically, and it would come up, and people would, because things were like way too rigid back then during the period when that happened. And so what started to happen is, well, this spider that people were talking about that would like appear to them in like in like dreams and kind of like and people were like panicking about this spider. And what happened was that there were like people actually, because it was so rigid to the point that there was like this like mass like hysteria kind of happening, where people were being like possessed by the shadow, by this like spider kind of thing, and they started to like dance, and like there was like this dancing mania that kind of happened with regarding to that. And it was like, well, it's kind of linked to like to guess what Jung would call archaic remnants, so like something from like the past that came up in a way, but not just with that regarding that spider, but also it's linked to like the meowing nuns too, like the women that were forced in the nunneries and that didn't want to be there because their parents, I think, pushed them there. And
Right.
that created like this very weird situation where they were shadow possessed, and then the priest had to send in like exorcists to clear away the demons, and kind of that kind of stuff with that all. And that's kind of like I guess like when it gets very interesting, so to speak.
Oh yeah. It does.
But yeah, but it depicted it then, or like, yeah, it came up then as like the spider figure instead of the Kraken, but similarly this multi-vector like attack entity with like these like the multiple legs. And the interesting thing is that once the church, I think it was once the Protestant Reformation happened and the Catholic Church lost most of its influence, it completely stopped, like gone. No more spider, no more of the funny business, no more meowing nuns, just gone. So it shows that like if you ease up on kind of the rigid stuff, and actually do it suddenly goes away. It served its purpose, so it goes back down, like you said, Lynn.
So it bubbled up out of their unconscious so much that they started breaking into chaotic dancing and chaotic primal dancing and reverted to primal animalistic noises.
Yeah, they were making like obscene gestures. I've read too about it, and they became more like kind of like shadow possessed, how Jung would kind of call that. But it was so like I guess suppressed that it came as like an autonomous thing up, and but an interesting thing
it
also
jumped out into reality.
Yes, and an interesting thing to point out is that actually the dancing mania, so these dances that happened, if they would just let them do it, and even like help them with like playing music, that the dancing actually after a while would then stop, and it wouldn't happen for a while, and then it would come up again, because the actual issue of like this rigidness had not been addressed. So it was trying to like be this like figure of like, to balance out all of this rigidness. So then did this to these people, so that then they had this like, I guess, this reconnecting going on with the instinct, but then rigidness was there again, and then that cycle continued and continued.
Dancing is fun.
I wonder if that's why people keep going to clubs.
Yeah, there's this thing, fun. We have to have fun. There's this thing deep inside of us that is like, man, I have to do something that's fun. It's not, practical, and it doesn't make me look cool all the time, but it's a lot of fun, and we should all do it, and then none of us look stupid, and it's a great feeling.
Yeah, and the thing is that dancing, for instance, also really then helps to like connect to the body, and with that like the instincts, because it's when we get so like detached from that when these problems arise, when it's like seen as like, oh, it's all evil and it's all like bad or something, where you then kind of forget like this kind of like the dichotomy of like how it actually is between like the creative side of chaos, but also like the destructive, that there's both of these, and it is not just destructive.
Have you ever seen Footloose? That whole movie was about what you just said.
What movie?
Footloose. It's a musical. They're singing and they're dancing, and there's this guy that banned dancing and singing in the town. And so all the kids rebel, and they start dancing on tables and singing. And they try to arrest him, and try to stop everybody from singing and dancing, and then everybody starts singing and dancing.
That sounds like a fun movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. But I didn't realize how deep it was, I guess, until just now.
Yeah. But Lynn, you wanted to like say something, I guess?
Yeah, I wanted to add about that destruction is not always negative. Sometimes we need to destruct these rigid structures that we have and systems, because they're not working anymore. So in that sense, then that is an act of renewal, and that is not negative.
Yeah,
Destruction is a form of creation.
Yeah, so I guess
you just want to take care of it before the destruction is more literal, and it actually takes the form of like actual damage.
Yeah, it's
which you
like,
can.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like it's like, destruction can be negative in that sense, but then at the same time it can also go like how you said, Lynn, and that is correct. that it kind of becomes like a tower moment kind of thing, like the Tower of Terror with like the lightning bolt. So it's like it's kind of that then too, and in a way like it's that is a tower not built on like proper foundations, so it's kind of, I guess, not proper foundation, so it's not well connected to like maybe the actual foundations of ourselves, the body, and like I guess the instincts and nature in that sense. So then it's like like this weird detached thing.
Think about it, like in nature too. There's constantly things that are dying, and then new things are born from that when those nutrients are released back into the system.
Yeah, and in that sense, that's kind of, I guess, another big lesson regarding like, I guess, the figure of the Kraken, but also like, I guess, these other figures too, like that maybe especially like linked to like Proteus too, like that there's this creative and the destruction side of like this like positive negative side, but then at the same time because it's dual, there's like kind of the both in one in the process at times too. So yeah, that's I think something to keep in mind then too.
Nature's been around for a pretty long time.
Yep.
It's probably doing a few things right.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what it's doing, but I think it has it figured out.
We can change things a little bit to fit our needs, but you start changing things too much, and that's when the Kraken pops out.
Yeah.
And
like you can get your ears
steals
pierced.
your daughter.
You can get your ears pierced, but you can't like start cutting your ear off and say that this is the new fashion. Everybody cut your ear off and stick a Neuralink in it, and it's better. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
That's quite an example, Neirum.
Maybe it'll be great, but I'm just saying I'm not gonna do it. And
yeah, I'm not going to do it either. But maybe
Yes.
it will be one of those things. That's another learning process. But yeah, that's a hell of a process. I think they're starting the trials on that in about 6 months.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
how it all pans out.
Yeah,
I'll watch it here.
but
Yeah.
yeah. But I think I think in that sense also, I guess like the duality of these things is an important to like keep in mind too. And I guess like that's kind of like where like a figure like Hermes or Mercury kind of comes in, like with the dual aspects of like again like the snake, but also the wings of like the birds, and it's kind of also again like I guess the creative, but also again like this similar symbol going on there. So yeah. And
it's a seesaw that
Yeah.
we're probably having a really good time on, but we just can't tell.
Pendulum. The pendulum swings.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get that pendulum going back and forth, and it falls off the string entirely, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the tower moment.
Yeah. That can be fun though. For a little bit. What if you like hit the side and you start rolling around like a quarter? That'd be interesting
who
for a
knows?
few centuries, right?
It's a little more up to chance at that point, but yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a new beginning.
Yeah, it's a new thing. Who knows where we'll roll to? It could be a better place. We're not on that damn string.
Yeah, but yeah, I think with regards to that, like, I guess the creative side, like you definitely can see it, I guess, in Pepe too, like the Pepe the Frog, the creative side and of that, like that comes out in its many like expressions. That's a link to that too. So yeah, but I do wonder, like, yeah, what's next with that? But maybe, like, yeah, we should like maybe like for a future thing, like maybe get Egg on and egg him on Pepe and like the memes.
Yeah,
Pantheon of Pepe.
Because it's a weird symbol, the frog. It's very strange. Even, looking at the Egyptian stuff, it's like a frog. But then I think it's the Native Americans were pretty specific. They're like, yeah, the frog shows you when everything's changing. And I'm like,
yeah, the
makes sense.
frogs and amphibians, like in scientifically, when things are off with nature, like the balance chemically, they're the first ones to show the effects of it. So if they would see the frogs kind of with an extra leg sticking out or something, they're like, all right, this place is no good. We got to move somewhere else. And also, Jordan Peterson talks about it because, the frog is like, can live in water and it's born of the water, but it can hop out and go back in. So there's kind of like that chthonic or psychopomp, something going on there too. And then the Kek, the god Kek, the Egyptian one that's frog-headed, that comes from the cosmogony of Hermopolis. And Hermopolis, originally the city of Kmun, which was the center of Thoth worship. And then Hellenism came over, and there was under Alexander's kingdom, the Greek revival of Egyptian heritage, and they noticed that Thoth and Hermes were pretty similar. So they created this figure, Hermes Trismegistus, who is credited with the creation of alchemy. And again, that's where the Kek god comes from. I don't really know what all that means, but there's something going on there, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and all those names sound really cool too.
Yeah.
I would not be able to remember those names. I'd have to write them down. But yeah, there's something going on with these frogs, man, and they're telling us things, and now we can make whole cartoons about them. Have you guys seen those cartoons that guys made of them? I don't know who makes them. Is it the guy that came up with the frog? Because I saw this dude that made this old cartoon of Pepe, and it kind of got out of control from what he originally had it be, and turned into the
disowned it for a while.
Yeah.
But then as soon as he figured
nothing,
it's the .com boom all over again.
Yeah.
It's a bubble.
The bubble. The bubble.
Yeah. But yeah. I guess in a sense, like regarding like that, with I guess Pepe then too, it's maybe because it represents an archetype. He's trying to like keep it to a certain thing, and then I guess you can't because it's been I guess borrowed by the Kraken. You could say it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when two things come together and connect. It's a story and relation all on its own.
Yeah. Regarding also what I wanted to bring up regarding that with Kek and Hermopolis, I just wanted to bring up that the female counterpart to Kek, that is a frog, is like a female figure that has the I think it was the head of a snake. I think that yeah, from what I remember when I looked into it. So again, there's like this connection there again to like snakes. So I mean, yeah.
Frog and a snake.
Yeah.
So the snake's the girl version of Pepe?
Yeah. There's like a girl version of Pepe, and that's like the link to like a snake.
Oh, I haven't seen that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, but that's like the from like the Egyptian like Ogdoath tradition, that it's a snake like with Kek. So it's like from there, what like the like well you Ryan folks had talked about it, like how the Greeks and the Egyptians had like were kind of been put together from these things.
Egyptian pantheon is pretty messy, and when we get taught about it, like in grade school, it's a very streamlined version. Like when you hear about all the myths when you're younger, it's a very like canonized version, and that's really just not how things went down. So this commune, this the city of Thoth worship had their own kind of cosmogony.
What do they have going on? What do you know about it? I don't know anything about that stuff, man.
I mean, they're all similar, but yeah, they had the 8 beings, like 8 gods that came out of the nothingness to create the world. Is basically how I remember it. I'm probably butchering it a little bit. And yeah, these Kek, the Kek god was kind of one of the balancing forces or something.
From what I know, also that there was also a connection between with Kek and with Kekuit, how she's called, between like light, both the liminality between light and darkness, represented by like morning and dusk. So when the sun goes up and when the sun goes down. And there's like this, they proceed over this like liminal time between like between those two. And I think there's like with one there's like the light is rising, with the other like the light is going into darkness, and it's a symbol, kind of a symbolism of like both the day, the conscious, and the night, the unconscious. So there's this dichotomy there between these two figures, and it kind of then. Now I'm talking about it in this sense because I haven't like thought about it for a while. Makes me think about like what like Joseph. I think Joseph L. Henderson in Man and His Symbols wrote about like the divine twins, like how they are like consciousness and unconsciousness. So they kind of like they kind of represent that kind of duality, and maybe like because I remember too, like with the other figures of the Ogdoath too, like they represent different like dualities altogether, and so that's kind of like an interesting rabbit hole there then too, if you think about it in that way.
I think I saw on Wikipedia last night that that divine twin section on the Proto-Indo-European mythology, it directly related them to the morning star and the dusk star in the mythologies that came out of that. And I was trying to look into that, but I was kind of coming up with not a whole lot of direct translation, but yeah. When you look at it as the twin, the conscious and the unconscious, then it starts to make a little more sense.
Yeah, and like so the Kek and the Kekuit kind of represent kind of the similar thing. The two. It's also connected to like in that sense then to like this kind of symbolism. So I guess there's like this particular, I guess, if you think about it, like the Kraken, connected to the snake. At the same time, you have Pepe as well, and I guess there's like this. Maybe it's like signaling that there is a need to balance it out, consciousness and unconsciousness, and with it kind of with the Kraken, then I guess also instinct and nature.
So wait, is Hermes or Mercury kind of then what combines these two in one?
Yes. He's connected
Creates
to both.
The homeostasis between the parasympathetic and the and the other one, yeah.
Nice.
Sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic being the fight or flight, and the parasympathetic being the system of rest and relaxation, and together they balance for a homeostasis. And it's thought by some scientists that some degree of imbalance can even be caused psychically, by our own conscious psychology. And yes, Hermes is often the balancing force between these things.
Yeah, and as Maxton in his video also pointed out, but regarding Mercury also, like that it's kind of the glue that keeps like the opposites together in a way too. So I guess there's like a lot of this symbolism in there, and like being also Hermiopolis there with Hermes kind of already in it, and these dualities, I think like that's kind of that with regarding to that what it points towards. And I think that I've been feeling for like a long time that it's been a call for that. I don't know. I started off like years ago with like Pepe and I looking into like the Ogduat, and then I fell into like the Divine Twin rabbit hole till I been going on that one for like many years. And finally, like then figured some stuff out, like regarding that, like what's like kind of going on, why is it speaking to me, kind of thing, and kind of like figured out regarding like the instincts and I guess the body that I needed to like deal with that, to integrate that back in a way. But yeah, I think like this is just wild. If I think about it now, like regarding like kind of what it means then, in that because I had this intuition that like the Kraken and so the octopus and Pepe are like linked, because like Lynn had seen this meme about where Pepe was an octopus at the same time, and that kind of made, I don't know, it made me like just like this kind of moment that I looked at it and I was like, wait, I'm starting to see it now. It's starting to like make sense kind of moment, and it makes a lot of sense if you think about then in the sense of like Mercury holding that together. And I think Jung also had written about like with shadow work too, like how like Mercury is like kind of like this inner guide when it comes to that between like shadow and persona. So it's like the social mask, but also like I guess the rigidness of like the rules and like the virtues and ethics of like a society, like how like rigid it is, and he tries to balance that out.
Yeah, it started for me probably about 10 years ago when I started learning about Alexander the Great, which to this day I'm convinced that a lot of that story is wrapped up in both history and mythology. And that led to, he's the one that created the Hellenistic Empire, where the Greeks now in Egypt excuse me, recognized the similarities between Thoth and Hermes. And as kind of this balancing figure, like you said, like between the conscious and the unconscious. And when you have those things working together, that leads down the, to the wind horse and the sacred twin thing. I did that Alexander and Hermes Trismegistus. I learned that like 10 years ago. I had no idea what the hell they were talking about. And then just as we've been reading Man and His Symbols, I start talking about that stuff in the server. And Base starts leaving me a trail of breadcrumbs that I kind of subconsciously started linking together and going down that path. So certainly interesting. Would have been cool if I figured more of this out 10 years ago, but at least I'm seeing it now.
Same with me. I mean, I think like I went down this like this entire rabbit hole like when 2016 I started to go down the rabbit hole. It's kind of like when I went down it. Anyways,
I think so for me too.
Yeah, it feels about right. It was like my about 10 years ago, I started getting into all that stuff. My early 20s.
I'd already always known about Jung and stuff, but I just knew things on such a surface level, like it was a vocabulary test. You know, you just recite the answer, or you recite the definition that he has without really having a good idea what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
That Man and His Symbols is a really good one as a kind of introductory. I think that's why he wrote it. He kind of realized that the way he like his mind isn't like the rest of us. He was obviously a pretty exceptional person.
Yeah.
Gifted. And so he was realizing that, hey, a lot of my works aren't really reaching the people that need it, or a lot of people in general. So maybe I should try and scale it back a bit, kind of put this all together and leave a trail of breadcrumbs for people in my last work before I die.
Yeah. That was a good thing because I like pictures. And you got to just have some pictures in your book, man, to show people the hell you're talking about. Once you start to see what he's saying about mandalas and all of this stuff, all of our symbols, you're like, oh, wow. Those people, or you're saying those people knew all that stuff back then? He's like, yeah, man. Like, oh, whoa. What else did you write?
Yeah, I mean,
oh, what's that? What's that book about? Oh, Jesus Christ. Get in the eye and it starts to like really melt your brain. You're like, what? Synchronicity. What is happening? Am I living in a story, or is this real?
Yeah, I don't know.
I was just gonna say, out of all of the rabbit holes I've gone down, and people and books I've read, I just keep coming back to Carl Jung, that guy. I think he figured something out that I'm still trying to figure out. Everybody else, I was just like, I don't know. They kind of hit a dead end for me. But I keep circling around Carl Jung, and I just can't. I don't know. I can't quite figure out if there is an end to what he's kind of pointing to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do wonder what he thought of his earlier works after he went through the process with the Red Book and everything.
Right.
Because it seemed like he tried to hide it for a while because he didn't publish it. I believe his daughter did, because he didn't really want that getting out because he thought it would damage his reputation, and then, you know, people would start calling him like pseudo-psychologist and things like that, which a lot of people already do, or already did at the time too, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it definitely adds another layer of personal experience onto the things that he was talking about.
Yeah, I don't think insurance covers Jungian psychologists.
Yeah. I think a lot of the stuff currently is like a lot based on like Freud, but it's like, you know, it's more like, I guess, the tragedy of like, this is just what it is, and you got to deal with it, kind of thing.
You're stuck with it.
Yeah,
I mean, Fraser had the two. There's very little actual psychology in Fraser, but it's presented as, you know, the two brothers, Fraser and Niles, and the older brother, Fraser, is the Freudian, and he's basically turned into a pop psychologist. He has the radio show, but then his brother still maintains a private practice, and he is the Jungian. And there's one, you know, they slip in some jokes every once in a while. There's one episode where Niles fills in for Fraser because he's sick. I believe in reality, Kelsey Grammer was in rehab for cocaine at that time, so they had to come up with this plot off the cuff. But Niles is introducing himself, and he goes, "Well, my brother is a Freudian, but I am a Jungian, so there'll be no blaming mother today." So, you know, there's just these like very cursory kind of surface level things that we know about Jung versus Freud. We go, oh, okay, yeah, we get it. Don't worry about going down that rabbit hole, though. Don't listen to him.
Man, I had no idea that show was about psychologists.
It's not really, obviously. Like I said, Frasier's more of a pop psychologist. He just listens to people on the radio. But it's a decent show for what it is. It's funny.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, regarding like the that whole thing, like with manliness symbols, I think like he was kind of like trying to point out with that kind of this need that is there, that is kind of, I guess in a way like depicted now within like this dichotomy between like the Kraken on the one hand and Pepe on the other, and to I guess like and the divine twins too in a way. It's like to balance these things out, and they had been like pointing that out in like Man in the